Third and final heat underway of men's individual event number 8. We just saw that Roman Karenikov is leading Brent Fikowski by 5 points. We have a slew of athletes in the mix, 1 through 4th. Those athletes being Brent Fikowski, Pat Vellner, and Jason Smith as we tackle individual event number 8.
And we've seen Parallette Handstand Push-ups so many times now for these top-level athletes in the game setting and regional settings, sanctional settings around the world. It is tough, and that's a big number to go from that push to the push-up that they have to do, that flying push-up. For an athlete like Roman or for Brent, this is going to be a tough piece for them because they have those long arms, because we've seen Brent in the past have to deal with Parallette handstand push-ups, and it's not a good movement for him. He's got those long albatrossian arms, so it's tough. You get someone someone like Pat Vellner, the gymnastic prowess really starts to come out here. Someone like Jeff Adler, this is going to be a good position for him so that he can do his work and then get to those push-ups and really start to make a move from there.
And we thought this would be one of those events that can kind of trick up your top athletes in the leaderboard, and the only thing we saw on the women's side was Jamie Green, who is sitting outside the top 5, win, but your 1st through 4th didn't really be affected at all.
No, not at all.
Fikowski done with his 25 Parallette handstand push-ups, and like we've seen most athletes do, has missed his first flying push-up. You look all the way up in the left side of your screen, look like Tola Marquinhos is making quick work of those first few flying push-ups.
Well, and you like to see, a big athlete being able to move. They're strong, but usually in gymnastic movements they're not as strong because they have to move that big body around, but he's not having any issue with that. Now it's just a matter of just trying to figure out the timing, the coordination of I got to get my hands and my feet. Now, if you look at the middle of your screen, that's Pat Vellner right there in the gray. You see him popping up, getting his feet and hands to work, taking the break. And what I think is going to be interesting, if you look just to the left of him with Brent Fikowski, being that he's such a strategic athlete, it would be interesting to see the notebook of what am I going to do on each one of these movements, because he was the only one that was asking questions this morning on these events. So I want to see what that book looks like.
I feel like opening up Brent Fikowski's strategic notebook would be like opening up the Ark of the Covenant, is where your face would just completely melt off.
It might just a little
overload of information. Hey, first heat not moving as fast as the third heat. Third heat nearly all the way through their 25 flying push-ups.
I think
and Fikowski at the bottom part of your screen is now moving into your deck squats.
Whoa. All right. See, again, trying to figure that out. Now, something that I was really interested in back in the back, you can see Brent Fikowski making that work. He's figured out his tempo. So, yes, he's not in the top 5 in this particular heat as far as movement, but that was good. I think now we're going to start to see him really start to gel and move forward on these movements.
Deck squats, you'll have to start in the standing position with the kettlebell handle to your chest, touch it to the ground above your head, and then back up standing with the kettlebell to your chest. How you get from point A to point B is really kind of up to these athletes, and we've seen some strategies work. You see Brent Fikowski in the middle roll up and get stuck. And it's not just using the legs for momentum, but you can use that kettlebell too.
Yeah, watch just to the left of Brent Fikowski, there's Roman Karenikov. So he's not holding that kettlebell to his chest. Brent Fikowski is in the blue shorts, and that's why he almost missed that first squat. He had to re-roll it again. He didn't let the momentum of that kettlebell move him forward. Whereas Roman is moving that kettlebell all over the place. He's doing something very similar to what Jamie Green was doing. See the kettlebell come down low so that his hips come up, and then he can just raise that up with his back.
Your top 4 athletes in the middle 4 lanes. From left to right, you got Jason Smith currently sitting in third to his right. Roman Karenikov with a 5-point lead on Brent Fikowski, and Pat Vellner is in fourth, but he is just 3 points behind Jason Smith. This is the first event of the 4th and final day of competition. 2 scheduled events that we know of, but we also got word that there is 400 points up for grabs, so something is lurking that we don't yet know. Is hand in the air for Roman Karenikov, hand in the air for Brent Fikowski. So even with that stumble early on, it looks like Fikowski has figured out the rhythm here. 2 more reps to go for Fikowski on the right, as Karenikov just to his left is done. And they'll move from deck squats, and Fikowski misses that stand-up yet again. So we move to a jump. Athletes must hit a full depth squat and land on top of the block to full extension through the top. You do 2 different styles of that front rack position, and what's the advantage or disadvantage there?
Well, honestly, I think that it would be more relaxing for your body to be able to put them on your shoulders the way that Roman is. You can see him, the dumbbells are on his shoulder and his hands are up top, whereas Brent Fikowski, he is holding that in that rack position. I think he feels like, I would have made that switch too, my friend. I think he felt like, okay, I can control the movement, but it's just too much time under tension. You don't need to do that. Now, the one downside with this movement that makes it difficult is it's a blind jump. You can't see what you have to jump onto, so you're really hoping that you're stepping in the right place.
Well, just click your heels together at the top, Dorothy. You'll be fine.
Where are my red ruby slippers? I see Vellner doing the exact same thing in the gray shirt, holding that in the front rack. There's just...
And you're right. It's like, look at the dumbbells launch off the shoulder and then land back on them.
I don't want to have that extra. Like, anything extra that moves is more energy that I have to use to support it and stabilize it.
So your race for first place is between Roman Karenikov and Brent Fikowski in the center lanes. Your race for the podium position in third is right side of your screen, Pat Vellner. Left side of your screen, Jason Smith. If Vellner can move ahead of Smith in this event alone, he can leapfrog him by at least 2 points. Fikowski judged hand in the air. That's 5 reps left to go. Karenikov just to his left. Still holding on at first place position, and his judge put his hand in the air, so Fikowski may have just pulled ahead of Roman Karenikov, and he has, so he will advance his dumbbells and then move to the pull-up rig, where we have 25 reverse grip chest-to-bar pull-ups.
Now the downside for Brent is he has those long arms that we've talked about a handful of times, so any gymnastic movement, he has a longer range of motion that he has to travel, so he does have to do more work, and each rep is going to take a little bit longer for him to do. Now, we talked about a better position would be bringing those hands together because it saves the shoulder. But again, that increases the range that you have to work with, and I don't think he wants to add any more to it.
So you said before, it's like, look at the cycle rate of Vellner versus Fikowski. Fikowski just has that longer, sweeping, more controlled motion, where Vellner has a bit more of a tighter, quicker butterfly. Roman Karenikov's joined the pull-up party. He's on the left side of your screen.
Well, I think what Vellner's doing in the gray shirt is he's actually really leaning back, so it's not pulling up so much. He's pulling to his chest to the bar, and he really doesn't have that much of a backswing. Look at that. He even kind of switched it up a little bit. He's trying to keep that. He doesn't want to over-rotate because that's a lot of tension as he tries to pull his head through and a lot of torque on those shoulders.
Fikowski, 3 reps left to go. And between your top 3 athletes, at least in this heat, it appears that we may have a race on the devil presses, which make sure not to sign me up for that.
What's impressive with Brent is, again, he knows his body, knows his pacing so well that we haven't seen any athlete, men or women, decide to go singles on that. But what that does is you touch, you come down, you remove the element of that stretch on the shoulder. Does that, a little bit of rest on the bicep, and guess what we're doing here? We got to use our biceps on this devil press. So great move by Brent.
Top 3 in this heat, Brent Fikowski in the center lane. To his right, you have Pat Vellner, a few reps behind him. Roman Karenikov, who's sitting in first, ahead of Brent Fikowski. Now, what's good for Fikowski is that if this stays the order at which it is currently, that will move him solely into first place, just being 5 points behind.
Yep.
That'll put a 10-point spread between him and Karenikov. Vellner outside looking in on the podium, 3 points behind Jason Smith. He's nowhere to be seen. So Vellner should put himself to at least in third place after this heat if they can finish in this current standing. Fikowski moves forward, 10 reps completed, 10 more to go in this section, 5 to finish out. And you're talking about a chipper champion that is Brent Fikowski. This is another style of those events where he likes to take advantage of the things that he's the best at.
It just is amazing how he is so confident in letting the people go. Let the field go, and I will do what I need to do, and I'll blow right by you. You guys have your fun. I'll see you at the finish line. And once again, here we are, out in the front with a handful of reps left to go, with everyone else is now catching him, whereas he was one of the bottom half of the people coming off the wall on those handstand push-ups.
Roman Korenikov's moving up. He's about 3 reps behind Patrick Vellner. And what's important here for Fikowski is that he is one of a handful of athletes in the top 10 that has yet received an automatic bid to the CrossFit Games. So if he can take first here, that ensures his ticket to the CrossFit Games.
Well, it's really interesting. Last year when they came up with the new system for qualifying to the games, everyone, I'm talking all the top athletes, he was the first one that everyone looked at, which was, wow, Brent Fikowski, who's been on the podium a couple times now, is not going to go back to the CrossFit Games because he's not an open qualifier, and then he has to win events, and he always does really, really well, but he wasn't winning competitions. I think he's changed it up just a touch.
Tell you what, Vellner is doing everything he can to try to keep pace with Fikowski, but Fikowski just not letting up at all. The time to beat was 13:51. One more rep for Brent Fikowski. And Fikowski, the professor, takes event number 8.
Nice race. Very intelligently executed, which I wouldn't expect anything different.
Pat Vellner will get second overall, and what that's going to do for Brent is that is going to put Brent solely into first place over Roman Korenikov, who is still have about 2 reps left to go on the devil presses. And with that finish for Vellner, that should also put him into the podium, as he was just 3 reps behind Jason Smith, who you can see in the gray shirt is still just trying to navigate the first part of those devil presses, and Korenikov will come through still under the time to beat coming in, so that will be 3rd overall in this event unofficially. And that should put him 5 points behind Brent Fikowski. And just like that, in one event, we've changed the leaderboard up again. Bottom part of your screen, Elliot Simmons just up to his right in lane 3. Yeah, Bjorkman Carl Goodmanson, but Simmons will get underneath the time to beat. Jason Smith is losing a lot of points.
A lot of ground.
One more rep for Bjorkman Carl Goodmanson. And he will finish just ahead of the time set by Aldis Upanix in the previous heat. We've already had 2 heats go. Jonakoski, the front part of your screen, has also moved up ahead of Jason Smith. Smith was sitting in 3rd place after last night's event. Only had a 3-point lead on 4th place Patrick Vellner. That's not going to stand after this event.
No, that's been wiped away now.
And as we were saying earlier, as we have 1 more minute left to go in this 15-minute time-capped event, as Jonakoski is trying to do everything he can to finish as quickly as he can. Jeffrey Adler's matching up to him. He'll cross the finish line, but behind the time set by Aldis. Jason Smith crossing the finish line, about 30 seconds to go. Jeffrey Adler, the 4th part of your screen. Lazar Jukic was flirting in the podium spot for a couple days.
Was hanging out there for a while.
Adler will cross the finish line. Adler, one of the trio of Canadians we have here competing with Brent Fikowski and Patrick Vellner. And this is shaking up to be an exciting final day of competition. We saw this on the women's side last year, where it came down to the final event of who's going to beat who to determine who will go to the CrossFit Games. And Fikowski is not trying to wait for something to happen for him. He's going to take charge and do it himself. That event win has put him into first place overall.
Well,